Unlock the power of your mind. This is Provocative Enlightenment with Eldon Taylor.
Welcome to another hour dedicated to inquiry, reflection, questions, possibilities, philosophical quandaries, uncovering dissonance, and a whole lot more, all in our effort to understand exactly what enlightenment means and what it is to be enlightened. Indeed, an hour dedicated to learning something more about ourselves, an hour designed to help us go further inward and perhaps challenge some of those old ideas about the world we live in and the people we have become. This is an hour for the open-minded, for our search might take us, may provoke a level of insight that may just perturb our notion of what is real, what is tractable, what is important, and more. It is therefore an hour where we admit that our foregone conclusions could all be wrong, and in that way truly open ourselves up to the plausibility of a new level of comprehension that in some way, somehow, may indeed lead to that elusive state known as enlightenment. And this is an hour where we strive to evaluate knowledge as absolutely inseparable from the total experience of reality. I'm Eldon Taylor, and this is Provocative Enlightenment. All right, each week I read a few of your letters as our way of paying homage to the importance you play in helping us to shape our show and improve it in every way. Last week, our show was all about the power of the mind, in particularly the use of self-hypnosis to access those powers. To that end, we offered a special on a self-hypnosis training set that I developed. Evelyn wrote, I so enjoyed your program on self-hypnosis this afternoon. I have been using the product you have offered in the special offer, as well as Hyperimperia, and it has changed my life in many ways. I do believe self-hypnosis and meditation share a process in common, and would highly recommend the self-hypnosis material for those who have difficulty meditating. Well, thank you, Evelyn. Jennifer wrote, ordered my self-hypnosis set today right after the show. Can't wait to get to it. I listen to your show every week on Hay House. Love it. The chat room is great, too. You all work really hard to make sure we as listeners get as much out of your hour, hope it's more someday, as possible. Thanks and God bless to all of you. Thank you, Jennifer. Now, Diva Doc from our chat room wrote, I like Eldon's hypnosis techniques. They allow you to interrupt the hypnotic session to attend to other important business if it is necessary without a trance hangover. I use it for creative writing, healing, and visiting with my spirit guides. Now, for those of you that did not get your set last week, you can still take advantage of the special offer by going to eldontaylor.com and selecting the banner offering this special. It's not hard to find. It's right in the middle and near the top of the page. Makes a great gift, a lifetime gift as well. Natasha wrote about the free programs, articles, and newsletters that you can also find on my site. Quote, I was laid off from my job in 2009 and have been deeply feeling the need to make some changes in my life without the resources to really invest. Thank you for making this information available. You know, you're more than welcome, Natasha. And for all of you, the free MP3 programs and other materials are there to help you. No strings attached. They're available on my website, eldontaylor.com, at no charge whatsoever. There are many titles to choose from, and you can download them all. This is the patented and scientifically proven effective InnerTalk technology. These are not samples. This is the real deal. We think of it as a part of our own Pay It Forward program, so please, Hay House listener, go get yours today. Cheryl wrote, I have to tell you that your CDs have really helped me. The Stop Nail Biting worked right away. I received an email today from you regarding the hypnosis course. I'm going to order it when I get home. I have shared my CDs with others. I've been told by some that it made them think of things differently. End quote. Well, thank you, Cheryl. That's what's supposed to happen. Change our thoughts, our thinking. It's amazing. Our reality just seems to tag along with it. Yvette wrote, listen to you on Hay House. Love your show. Thank you for all you do. Your work is exceptional. Well, thank you, Yvette. Jennifer from our chat room commented, Eldon really makes me think about things from a different perspective than I've ever thought about before. Thank you, Jennifer. That is, in part why this show and why the title, Provocative Enlightenment. Speaking up in our chat room as well was Kevin with this remark. Hi, Eldon. I truly enjoy your show. Most weeks I have to listen to the archive. It is much better in real time. Well, we're just glad that you listen, Kevin, and thanks for the feedback. Now, Ravinder You're not going to give me any more that I never read the chat room letters. I've given them emphasis today.
It's about time you acknowledge, my friends.
All right. That's all the time for the letters today, but I do invite you to opine by leaving comments on my website, emailing me at Eldon, E-L-D-O-N, at Intertalk, INNERTALK.com or EldonTaylor.com, and for joining me on Facebook. I do read all of your letters, including those that don't make it to our show, and they do impact our programming, so thank you. Now to today's show. Sometimes from out of the ashes, it's said the phoenix rises. Our guest today is one such story, from sadness, betrayal, and tragedy to gifted spiritual transceiver and medical intuitive. Our guest has lived it all out. In her book, and I'm not sure if she wants us to say agape or agape, two pronunciations, different slight meanings. So for the moment, I'm going to say in the book, Agape, the intent of the soul, she states, I understood that the bodies and things of reality remain the same, only the stories change. Physical reality is experienced in all dimensions at one time because physical reality is, in fact, not real. She goes on, quote, multiple universes are experienced by the existence of the soul on many dimensions of reality at one time, end quote. As a medical intuitive, our guest has impressed myself and my friends. She will be doing some of that for our callers today. You can be one of those callers and bring your questions and thoughts by phoning toll-free 1-866-254-1579, and international callers can dial their country code, then 760-918-4300. And again, you can also join us in our chat room at eldontaylor.com/chat. Okay, let's meet our guest. She's a friend of mine, as I've indicated, and I know her to be a gifted intuitive. Eva Herr has always had a normal career, that of being a litigation paralegal. But since May of 2003, she has been acting as a health and emotional intuitive. As a result of, quote, her dark night of the soul in 1992, when during a 6-week period her son was kidnapped, she lost her job, her father died suddenly, and as an unmarried woman, she learned she was pregnant. She describes this experience this way, quote, an experience like that would bring anyone to their knees, and that is exactly what it did to me. Unfortunately, it takes this most of the time in order for one to understand that the real mission of life is simply submission to God, the oneness, the consciousness of all there is. You can feel it within you. Your frequency begins to raise, and you begin to hear. Follow it minute by minute, for it is the wisdom of all there is. When one does this, amazing things begin to happen in your life. It will even begin to happen synchronistically without any action having been performed by you. End quote. Okay, let's welcome her to the show. Welcome to Provocative Enlightenment, Eva Herr.
Well, thank you, Eldon, for such an honorable introduction. Brought tears to my eyes. It's hard to accept that is me you're talking about.
Well, I am talking about you. Now, let's just jump in here real quick, and then those tears you'll forget all about, okay? I guess I have to start by asking you, what's the preferred pronunciation that you would like? Is it agape?
Agape.
Agape. All right. So agape,
right.
The love of Jesus, or love that is spiritual, not physical in any sense, because that's the difference. Agape means basically wonder or amazement, and that's why I didn't know. But agape. Okay, I'll take that. All right. Let's begin by, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you became a medical intuitive.
Well, like Eldon said, it all started with the dark night of the soul, and I realize now that after all of those events happened, that the ability had been there all of my life, but I just never recognized it for what it was because I grew up in a fundamental household, and it was not something that anybody ever talked about. I can see now that it probably was in my father, that he recognized it but never said anything about it. So after those things happened, about 2 years later, I was asleep, going to bed late one night, and it was spring, and I heard the I had a floor fan going because it wasn't hot and it wasn't cold yet. And all of a sudden, and I don't know if this is real, Eldon, who am I to say what is real and what's not real, if it was a dream or if this thing really happened or if I made it up in my head, but whatever it was real to me. And when I woke
That's
up...
all that matters, yeah.
Yeah. And my father was standing in front of me, and I said, "What are you doing here? You're dead." Because I've been raised a fundamentalist, and I thought that when you died, you went to heaven or hell, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, sometimes when you have something important to say to someone, God lets you come back, and I didn't get to tell you that I loved you. Because I had, in the between time, I'd married a Jewish man, and my family honestly were racist and weren't happy about that. And so everybody ostracized me. So when a lot of things happened, in my perspective, I went to the other side and I learned things and I saw things, and I woke up the next morning and I was different. I was in bliss, kind of like Eckhart Tolle. It lasted for about 6 months. I don't know how to describe it, so I'll describe it this way, so I hope I don't offend anyone, but it's like when you have an orgasm, but without the sexual feeling. It was something electromagnetic, and I felt like I was walking about 6 inches off the ground for about 6 months, and then it kind of gradually faded away, and it was like I'd opened my eyes for the first time when I saw the world. Like suddenly the world consisted of vibrant colors and teeming life. I mean, it was wonderful, and I woke up knowing people that I didn't know before I went to bed that night, specifically Raymond Moody, Daniel Brinkley, Norm Shealy, and Caroline Mace. I've since become very good friends with Daniel and Norm and Raymond. I haven't met Caroline yet, but I know she knows I exist because she sent me a book. But it was interesting. I met Norm the same way Caroline met Norm. A friend invited me to go to the Council Grove conference, which is a break-off of our theme. And that friend, and that's where I met Norm, and that friend was the same person that took Caroline to the Council Grove conference where she also met Norm. So lots of synchronicities. They still go on every day. I know the story's not over. I just have to wait and see what's going to happen. But as time passed, when I woke up the next morning, I understood that there was a way to detect illness in people in advance. I didn't get it. In fact, I thought I was going nuts, and I checked myself into a hospital, a psychiatric hospital, as a matter of fact. But I've learned over time that it was real, that I can do this. I'm nervous about doing it on the air because there's so many energies tapped into your, show at the same time, so that makes me nervous. How do I know I'm tapping into the right one?
You've never done this on the air, have you?
No, I haven't.
And you have your own radio show.
Yes, so I don't ever talk about me on the radio.
So you're really honoring our Hay House audience. Now, I know I have to add this in. I'm going to add this in. You indeed did a reading for me. And when, I came to it very skeptical, and I've told you that.
Yes.
So I'm not betraying you in any way. Right. Yes, and it did take forever to get me to do it. But you started asking me crazy questions because you indicated to me that in order for you to authenticate the information you were getting, that it really belonged to me, you had to make sure that, you were reading me. And so you asked me these crazy questions. And I can remember it was in the middle of the winter and up here in Spokane, and you asked me about roses. The likelihood of somebody thinking about roses at that time of year. But I had just written that down because I was getting my wife some roses. And of course, once I said to you, well, yeah, okay, I've been thinking about roses, you, in your view, you had authenticated the information. Now, and I've since had friends come to you, and they are as impressed as I have been both about the information that you passed on and how effective it has been. So I appreciate that you're going to do this for our Hay House listening audience. And we have callers on the line already. 10 lines are full, Eva. They're getting ready to, for you. But before I let us jump into that, tell us, are you going to attempt to do that qualification also today?
I don't have any control over what comes in, Eldon, so everything happens in the moment. So all I ask is that if, for whoever it is that I read, if I ask you something, I'm going to just give you an example. If I ask you, is there something about roses in 2 or 3 days? What I really mean is, have you had some? Did you see some? Did you think about some? Is there one sitting on your table? Did you see a picture? Did you see a painting? Did you see one on television? I don't care what it is. It will be some, is there something about that that's crossed your line of consciousness? I don't care what it is. Do you have a shirt with roses on it? So that's real important. So
okay, now, Eva, we're talking, I want everybody to know your book, Agape, The Intent of the Soul, tells your entire story, gives a good deal of information that I think has, bearing on our spiritual life, bearing on our wellness, bearing on vibration, etc. And I want to go to questions about your book, but with 5 minutes before the break, what do you say we take a call or two first?
Oh, whatever you do, you're in charge.
I'm in charge. All right. I'm never in charge. So let's go to Jane in San Diego, California.
Hi.
Hi, Jane. Welcome to Provocative Enlightenment. What can we do for you today?
Well, thanks for taking my call. Lately, I'm just like wiped out. Like some days I just can't seem to get out of bed to do anything. So I wasn't sure if there was something going on with me physically, or I just you need to guide me to one of your CDs I can listen to, because there's so many and I can't decide. I mean, I just wanted something from you guys to help me out.
All right, hold on. Just sit quietly for just a minute, okay? And I'm going to try. Just a minute. Okay. Do you have a high-pitched sound in your ears sometimes?
Yes,
like
sometimes I have. Yeah, it's like when I can't hear out of that ear.
Excuse me?
Yeah, and I can't hear out of the ear sometimes.
And it's a high-pitched frequency?
Well, sometimes that, and then sometimes it just feels like plugged up or something. It's weird.
Okay, the frequency is the thing that I'm concerned with. You do get that?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That tells me 2 things about you. One, it tells me that you're on a serious spiritual path. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, it tells me that you're magnesium deficient. Magnesium is the highly flammable material. You've seen those little sparklers that kids run around with?
Right.
How they sparkle and glitter and glow. That's magnesium. That's how flammable it is. Well, if you lead a stressful life, every single time you think a thought, it causes a spark to jump across, a neuron to spark, and it jumps across the synaptic gate. If you could see your brain on an MRI, you would see flashes like fireworks going off. So it burns off magnesium is the point. If you're a spiritual seeker, the importance of magnesium is as your consciousness raises, as your knowledge broadens, as you get deeper in on your path, and language is an issue here, but your frequency or your resonance speeds up, okay? So you're vibrating at a higher, faster rate, literally in hertz, than you used to be. And it burns off magnesium. So it's like tinnitus, but it's not tinnitus. It's a magnesium deficiency. So the best thing to do is for you to use transdermal magnesium, because taking a magnesium that you buy at the store, particularly most people buy magnesium oxide, and that's like taking a handful of sand and rubbing it on your arms and hoping that it's going to be absorbed. It's not going to happen. But if you use transdermal magnesium, you get 150 elemental, I can't think of the word, units of magnesium. That's not the right word, but in 1 teaspoon. So you rub that on, and you do it every day. And the only place that I know for sure that you can buy it is off Norm Shealy's site. I personally make my own. I order large quantities of magnesium sea salts like they use in an aquarium, and then I measure it out. How much do I have to put into 16 ounces of liquid to get 150 milligrams of elemental magnesium, and I put it in my blender with some gargum, and a little bit of water, 16 ounces of water, and that way I know the dosage that I'm getting. But you have to be careful because you can, burn out your kidneys and get your calcium out of balance. Okay, sorry, Eldon.
No, that's all right. And listen, we've got a hard break coming up, Jane. So let me do this. You can reach Eva. Eva, how can our listeners, real quick, what's your email?
evaher@gmail.com.
That's Herr. You can follow up with that. Stay on the line, and I've got a CD we're going to send you to help you out, too. All right?
Okay,
You're listening to Provocative Enlightenment. My guest today is Eva Herr, and that's Herr. And we're discussing her book, Agape, The Intent of the Soul. We'll be right back after these words from our friends. Be sure to stay tuned.
Every day, every moment, we face choices. Yet, how many of those choices are truly our own? Are you ready to step onto the path of discovery? Read Eldon Taylor's New York Times bestseller, Choices and Illusions, now revised, updated, and expanded. Eldon combines provocative information, scientific research, and his own life's journey into a powerful message that we have the power to change. All we must do is be willing to choose to take the chance and change. Get your copy today from all bookstores.
Have you talked to yourself lately? What does that inner voice say? Are you constantly hearing negative feedback? Ready for a change? Inner Talk, Eldon Taylor's patented subliminal technology, can do just that. Change your inner self-talk. Turn off the negative by replacing it with positive affirmations. Inner Talk has been researched at universities such as Stanford and by governments around the world and has been proven effective at priming your self-talk. Armed with a new positive outlook, you'll find everything becomes easier. From losing weight to stop smoking, giving presentations to riding horses. Learn new things to being a powerful salesperson. Choose your title for change today. Visit www.innertalk.com. That's INNERTALK.com. Innertalk.com.
Unlock the power of your mind. This is Provocative Enlightenment with Eldon Taylor.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, we're discussing the intent of the soul. And actually, this is a wonderful book. I want you to be aware of this book because where I had a lot of questions about the book that I wanted to discuss with Eva, it's a holiday season. The lines are full. The chat room is very busy, and Eva is trying to answer everybody in the chat room while she's also willing to take the phone lines. And so I'm not going to rob any more time and ask any more questions, but I am going to suggest to all of you that her book, Agape, The Intent of the Soul, is a great read. It is a marvelous book, and it sheds a lot of light on some of the things she's just touching on. Our spiritual work, of vibration, her view, her experience, and I think, the proof is in the pudding. So if she gives you a reading and you go off and you do it, and you find that it makes a significant difference, and I know no one that is not the instance for, then, I think you owe, or at least go get that book. Now, there are links on my website, and you can also get it at Amazon, et cetera, and I'll give Eva a chance at the end of the show to give you her email and everything else. But with all that said, Eva,
yes,
are you ready to just start taking more phone calls?
I'm ready.
The lines are all busy, and as you know, you're in the chat room. Everybody there has got a question for you, and I appreciate you being in there and answering them. So let's just we're going to take Mary Ellen out of Los Angeles, California. Mary, you're on the air, Provocative Enlightenment with Eva Herr. What can we do for you today?
Hi, Eldon. Hi, Eva. I was just, I'm having a flare-up of my RA, and I think it's because I'm going through some spiritual changes, and I was wondering if you could pick up anything on that.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, let me ask you a question. Does your eye have, is it your eyeball or your lids?
My eyelids have been very itchy lately.
Okay. Is there a red dot on anywhere on them?
Not that I've noticed, but I haven't really looked closely for it.
Does it itch in one place or all over?
Mostly in one place.
Okay. I suspect that your amino acids are low,
Mm-hmm.
so you might look into that. Do you ever get cold sores?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think your amino acids are low, so you might trust supplementing when you get that feeling with your eyes, supplementing with lysine. And it's not something you want to do every day because that also can, the antagonist is arginine. So if you do it every day, you're going to get that out of balance. Everything has an opposite. But when you get that, try that and see if that won't help. And you can also, if you get a little infection in there, you can also drop some colloidal silver in your eye.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a woman.
Right.
And I'm telling you what I hear, but I'm also telling you what I practice in my life. That works for me.
Right.
Okay? So those would be two things that you could do. Because something's in there. That, yes, you are having some spiritual things going on, but I don't think that's related to your eye.
Okay.
All right, Mary Ellen.
Great.
Thanks for
Thank you
calling.
so much. I appreciate you taking my call for me.
Indeed. All right, let's go to Kathy in New York. Kathy, you're on the air. What can we do for you today?
And Eva, I'm
Hello.
wondering if you see any more cancer in my face coming back.
Okay, I have to start this off with time doesn't exist. There's no such thing as time. So I can't guarantee what I'm about to tell you when I read, if it's today or yesterday or tomorrow, because there's no such thing as time. Okay? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Tell me your name again.
Kathy, with a C.
Okay. Okay. I have one of those stupid questions like Eldon was talking about. Is there something about orange in the past 2 or 3 days? I don't care what it is. Orange the color, orange the fruit, orange the juice, orange candy, orange soda.
I've gotten orange juice.
In the past 2 or 3 days?
Yes.
Okay. I hate to plant anything in you because anything that's planted in mind, everything is mind. Everything is thought. That's all that exists is thought. But I do hear that it'll come back. But when we get off the air sometime, why don't you call me, maybe perhaps, and for a reading, and I will help you the best that I can to get your immune system boosted up enough and deal with whatever issues it is emotionally, so that maybe that might not happen, because nothing is set in stone unless it's just simply your past. Okay?
Kathy, stay on the line also, and Joe, one of the producers, will take your name and your address and leave your email. And we have a cancer program that we actually have run studies on that's been very effective in cancer remission. I'm going to send you a copy of that, and then I'll see that your email is given to Eva so that the two of you do connect. Okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling, Kathy. Have a wonderful holiday too.
Too.
All right, let's go to Kay in New Mexico. Have we
Hello?
got Kay from New Mexico. You're on the...
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you fine, yes.
Okay. I have so many questions, but I will just stick to one.
Thank you.
The different lifetimes, simultaneous lifetimes, which I feel I've experienced because I do remember a few key ones, are they done primarily for to serve a primary lifetime, like the one that I am in right now, talking with you, or are they kind of all just going on at the same time for one sole purpose? I don't know if that makes sense or not.
All right. That's a long and complicated answer, and we could talk about it for hours. So I'm going to tell you.
Sorry.
No. I'm going to give you my best answer.
Mm-hmm.
You can always email and ask me more later. But as far as I'm concerned, consciousness is one.
Okay.
We are one thing, and we live in a hologram, which means we don't really exist in physical form. We just think we do.
Okay.
There's nothing that separates us from God because there's no mass on the quantum level. So that being said, for God to experience anything, for him, he's all-knowing. He knows everything, but the way he has to do that is he has to live a physical life, because what are emotions? Emotions are norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and that's what causes us to be, and conditioning. He must have conditioning so that he can see all the perspectives. So that being said, it's for ascension of the soul, both your individual soul and that of the mass consciousness, and I hope that answers your question enough.
If it does, when I get my linear thinking out of the way, yes, that's kind of the feeling that I've had. And if I can, in relation to that, do we have each individual soul, our higher self, terms that I've heard, and so I'm using them, do we orchestrate this, or is it orchestrated for us?
So you want to know if we have free will? That's a great question. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm I'm just going to say it the way I believe it. This is my perspective, but it's also the perspective of many of the scientists that I've interviewed on my show. We do not have complete free will. I kind of tell a story. Imagine yourself strapped in the back seat in a car seat with a little yellow steering wheel, and you're 2 years old. And Source or God or whatever you want to call the higher power is driving. And you come up to a four-way stop. The playground's on the right and the grocery store's on the left, and Source or God or whatever you want to call it says, I'm going to the grocery store. And you go, oh, no, I'm going to the playground. Whose steering wheel is going to work? Now, that being said, intention, if you can, intention does manipulate mass. It does manipulate physical reality, but it's subtly.
Okay.
And it only works, I don't care what anybody tells you, it only works if you can get in low theta or high delta, where your field is very cohesive. There's much science out there to support this. So if your goal is to change your reality, spend more time in silence and, spend more time paying very close attention to your subconscious thoughts, because they manifest too. There's an article on my blog, Free Will and Intention, something like that. I can't remember what it is. Look, you'll go to my EvaHerr.com, go to the blog, and then hit the archives, and that should answer your questions.
Okay, great. I appreciate it, and thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks for calling, Kay. All right, well, let's go right on here then. Kathleen from Los Angeles. Kathleen, you're on the air with Eva Herr. You have a question?
Hi, Eva. So lovely to talk to you. I'm so grateful that you just mentioned the theta and the delta wave. I've actually been doing body work for a long time, and I find I'm having some stress and worry lately. I really want to change careers, but it seems that I'm getting a lot more. I just studied theta healing, and I'm getting a lot more messages while I'm working on my clients and such. And can you see anything for me in my body that wants to change career path? And with theta healing, I'm just fascinated with it. But there's a part of me that thinks, oh my God, this is so simple. Can it really be that profound? Because I know that cancers have been, healed, and AIDS and all that kind of stuff. So if I could get a reading on what to do.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not very good about career things. That's not I don't know why. I'll listen, but that's not my area of expertise. But first I want to say to you, if you're trying to use brainwaves to alter your mind, it seems to be important, according to Tom Campbell, if you have listened to him or read his book, My Big Toe, that they be 3.8 hertz apart. That seems to be important, the binaural beats.
Okay.
So that seems to be important. And Tom Campbell's book, My Big Toe, is fabulous, or there's an interview on my archive. But hold on and I'll listen, okay? Okay, I have another stupid question, like Eldon was talking about. Is there something about walking a dog?
Yes.
In 2 or 3 days? Okay.
Absolutely. I try to walk my dog all the time, and he's very stubborn. He stops every couple of blocks, and it's I'm trying to tune into him to see if it's a pain or if it's game.
because I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
So that is actually a big thing in my life.
That's basically just a confirmation. Bill Tiller calls it a calibration for what I hear. But I heard that your chi was blocked. I guess you need to see an acupuncturist or get some energy work done.
And do you feel that will help the anxiety?
The female energy. Well, hold on. Let me listen about that. All right. Do you ever get where you feel like you can't get a good breath? You feel like you have to go...
Yeah.
Occasionally, and it'll be when you're stressed.
Yeah.
Okay. I think your autonomic nervous system is out of whack, so I would make sure that you stay away from any stimulants. Is anybody, and I'm not reading right now, okay, I'm just asking a question. Have you ever been told that you have a prolapse valve? Anybody ever said anything about mitral valve prolapse or anything like that?
No.
How old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay.
And I haven't had that, I mean, it's almost been a year since I've had that kind of anxiety where I'd have to take deep breaths and stuff, but...
doesn't matter. It can come in gradients. But the fact is the reason I'm asking the things that you need to look at is magnesium, again, transdermal, and taurine, and your amino acids, and carnitine. Those things help those particular kinds of problems, but you might also look at getting your hormones tested. You might need a little progesterone, too.
Okay.
So, but I would test them. I wouldn't play around with them. I would test them. And if you need a place to test them, Jay Mead's written a book, or John Lee wrote a book, What Your Doctor Doesn't Tell You About Menopause. It really shouldn't be called that because it's so much more than that. And Jay took John Lee's place, and he also manages Labritz Laboratories, and that's what they do.
Okay, great.
Does that help?
All right, Kathleen. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
All right. Do you need a break? You ready to just go on, Eva?
Whatever you want to do.
Well, let's just go on then. Okay. Phones are busy, and they just keep lighting up. And so let's go to line 8, and we have Dana from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Dana, welcome to Provocative Enlightenment.
Thank you. I'm glad to speak with you and Eva Eldon.
Thank you.
Hello?
Yes?
Yes, that's good. We're glad to have you, too.
I had someone on the other end. I'm a person who's been on a very serious spiritual path. So the high-frequency thing that you were talking about a little earlier, Eva, resonated with me. But what I'm experiencing within the past 2-3 months is an issue where I'm having a great deal of pain. Seems like inflammatory pain, muscle weakness, and fatigue. Nothing shows up on a medical blood test as far as any kind of autoimmune or inflammatory or infectious type thing going on in my body. But I'm doing a lot of different things, and I'm not able to resolve this constant pain that I'm waking up with and suffering with. And I do therapeutic body work, so it's getting in my way greatly. And I just wondered what your perspective or your take might be on that.
Where's the pain? I don't want to read.
In my shoulders, it's in my hips, my neck, my lower back. I have a very bad plantar fasciitis on my right foot. It can be in my knees. It can be in my hands and fingers. Okay. Sometimes it just moves around.
Okay. I would suggest, again, I'm not a doctor. I have to protect myself. But here's what I would suggest looking at. First of all, I wrote an article on my blog about inflammation and and there's another one, how do you know something about that, something like that. I can't remember. But here's the things that I would look into. Do you take vitamin D3?
Vitamin B or D?
D as in David.
I take it infrequently.
I would educate myself about that because it's not something that you take infrequently. It's something that you need every day, and dosage matters. I just wrote something about that this morning that for this month's article. let's say a 150-pound woman that's 5'6" would need about 10,000 international units of D3. It's 3. That's the best form to use
D3,
a day. Also, fish oil. It's a great anti-inflammatory, but it matters which fish oil that you use. And if you email me, I'll be glad to send you the article that I just wrote today because it's not going to be out until after November starts. But it matters because a lot of people, most companies, put fillers in there. They put heavy metals in there. They put forms of mercury in there, and you don't know that. So you're looking at a fish oil bottle that says you're getting 1,000 milligrams of fish oil. Well, it is fish oil, but it's mostly fillers and other stuff. What really matters is how much EPA and how much DHA do you get. So email me after the show, and I'll send you that thing. And personally, I use Barry Sears fish oil. It's more expensive, but it's worth every bit of it because I've tried some of them on the market that it must be pharmaceutical grade, let me put it that way.
Right.
And I have tried some other forms of fish oil, and I get weird things that happen. My ears start burning, or I get numbness in my hands. Another thing you might want to look at is your B vitamins. You might want to go to SpectraCell or somebody like that and get a total micronutrient test, and it matters what kind of test it is. They must do intracellular testing, and that way you have some idea of where to look for what's wrong with you. But those are the things that I see right away. I would also look into using like high dosages of vitamin C, short of bowel tolerance, because that really kind of kicks your immune system in so that if there is something going on, it can work for you. And if your immune system's clogged up, I recommend doing up and down vertical activities 2 or 3 times a week for 15 or 20 minutes of time, such as a rebounder. And when I say bowel tolerance for vitamin C, let's just say you start out doing 1,000 milligrams every 4 hours. And if you start getting gas diarrhea until you go to bed, it's not 24 hours. You just do it during the waking hours. And then if you get gas diarrhea or bloating, you know that you've exceeded your bowel tolerance. So you would stop for 24 hours and then back off 1,000 until you get, so you take as much as you can take without having any bowel symptoms. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And this is something you can do for the rest of your life. We do it in my household, and we never get sick. If it is, it's very minimal. Does that answer your question?
So you do think it's inflammation, even though there's nothing showing in any inflammatory markers in blood tests?
Well, I actually didn't read for you. I'm talking to you because I had a lot to say.
Okay.
And inflammatory, the tests that are done by conventional doctors don't always show it until it gets acute. And you're getting it at that age. Let me ask you a question. Are you overweight at all?
I'm overweight, but not seriously.
That's okay. That's a problem. Fat is inflammatory. It's a problem and can cause problems, especially with sugar. So just do the best thing to cause inflammation to back off by doing this thing, and it protects you in so many ways that you can't imagine. A real good reading is going to take me an hour to do, so I wanted to give you as much information as I could.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate that very much, Eva. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you calling, Dana. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Eva, we don't have enough time to take another call, but we have a number of people, obviously, that want to speak to you. How's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Go to my website. It's evaherr.com. My phone number and my email address is on there. It's my cell phone, so, be mindful of that I may not be able to talk if you call. But you can call, and I'll take your number and call you back and schedule an appointment. Or just email me, but put something in the subject line so I know where you came from. EVAHERR.com.
All right.
Yes.
Now.
No, EVAHERR.com or EVAHERR@gmail.com.
That's your email.
Right. One's a website and one's
Gmail.
Gmail.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good enough. Eva, we have indeed enjoyed you. You're going to have to come back. You're going to have to give us a repeat performance. I'm glad that, the powers that be said to you, it's okay, you can trust, you can just go ahead and do this for the first time. I think you did very well. I want to congratulate you.
I'm honored that you invited me. Thank you.
No, it's indeed my pleasure. All right, we've come to the end of another hour of provocative enlightenment. I'm told that our phones have been ringing off the hook. If you're calling for that free CD, please be persistent, and we will get to you. We have a 24-hour backup that also answers in the middle of the night, so do stay at it. All right, I want to thank you all for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed our show, and will join us again next week. And remember, until then, believing in yourself always matters.